Hey guys, welcome back. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a one-round mock draft with trades and kind of going over this draft order. It's been a little while since we've done a mock with trades, but I think it's going to really spice things up a little bit in today's episode. Really excited to get into it. We've been doing weekly mock drafts on the channel. We've got maybe 3 of these left. We'll do one after week 18, and then that's going to be it for the weekly mocks. We're not going to continue it through the playoffs because we are going to be starting my 7-round team mocks. We're going to be going from whoever has the number 1 overall pick all the way to whoever ends up winning the Super Bowl with the number 32 pick. We're going to update it with trades. It's going to be a really fun series that I cannot wait to get into. The Raiders would be the first in that series. So Raiders fans, be sure to ring that notification bell if the Raiders get the number 1 overall pick or if they get number 2, and you guys can see how I think they should draft. But leave a comment. Let me know which players you guys think should sneak in the first round, which players you guys like. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon where you guys can see the players that I like. Got my big board here on my monitor. We're going to be talking about a lot of these players in today's video. And if you guys want to see my big board with over 500 prospects, my full in-depth big board, be sure to check out my Patreon page. It's $5 a month, and you guys aren't getting a better deal out there for some elite NFL draft content and analysis. And let's go ahead and get into it. So the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick. I don't really think there's a trade back spot. First of all, I just don't know which team is trading up for a quarterback in this spot. Maybe Tennessee, maybe the Jets, maybe, but it's highly unlikely. And even if the Raiders are getting offers, I don't really think it makes a lot of sense to move this pick right now, given the hole that you have at quarterback. I'm taking Shedeur Sanders, who is my QB2, yes, but I think the ceiling, while not the highest, is still very high, and I think the floor is also very high. I think you're going to get a really, really good quarterback, a player that can extend play, incredibly accurate and confident in his throwing ability. The arm strength might be a concern. The sack numbers that he's gotten, people are going to try and highlight that like it's his fault. He's a really, really good quarterback that I think is going to be a top 5 pick in this class. And I think if the reports are true that Tom Brady's going to have a big say in who the Raiders take, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, a player that Shedeur has called a mentor numerous times throughout his career. I think it just makes all the sense in the world. I've got Sanders going to Vegas. At number 2, for the New York Giants, we're going to go with the other quarterback in this class, Cam Ward out of Miami. He does some really high-end football things that make you really excited. The off-platform throws, the ability to extend plays with his legs, his ability in the RPO game to sell the ability to run the ball. I think his ceiling is a little bit higher than Shedeur Sanders simply because I think the athletic traits are a little bit better. With that being said, I still think he's a really good, safe floor. The big concern I think a lot of people are going to have is the turnovers. And it's a fair critique of Shedeur Sanders, or of Cam Ward, excuse me. He's made some really poor decisions, throwing crossbody, and he's really going to have to clean that up at the next level. But I think for the Giants, you've got to go and improve this quarterback room. It's been a mess for 4 or 5 years now. I think Cam Ward gives you the opportunity to do that. At number 3, we've got the New England Patriots. And now this is where I think the trade calls would start to come in. Travis Hunter is sitting here on the board for the Patriots. And as much as I like Travis Hunter as a prospect and think this is a good range for him, I'm actually not going to take him if I'm the Patriots. The offensive line this week was so unbelievably awful. Vidarian Lowe played one of the worst games of any tackle this week. They desperately need help on the offensive line. I'm going to try and make a trade here to move back in this class just a couple of spots and be able to take one of these top tackles. I think Carolina is a team that makes sense. Moving up 2 spots without a quarterback, I think makes quite a bit of sense for them. You give up 108, you give up 112, and I think giving up a second in 2026 would make a lot of sense for them. So that's going to be the package that we put together. We're going to give them 108, 5, and a second in 2026 to move up just 2 spots. Yes, but you're getting the best player in this draft class in Travis Hunter. Now, why would Carolina take him? you're taking him to be a corner, I think. He has got some of the most elite ball skills, movement abilities, and athleticism of any cornerback we've seen in the last 5 to 10 seasons. He's unbelievable with the ball in the air. You can also use him as an extra receiver. Adam Thielen, obviously not a long-term solution there. Xavier Legette has struggled with drops. I like what you've gotten from Jalen Coker, but you can use Travis Hunter as a legit lockdown corner opposite of J.C. Horn, and then you can use him on 10 to 20, 25 snaps a game on the defense or on the offensive side of the ball as an extra weapon. I think there's a win-win deal. Yes, it's a lot, but you're getting a two-way superstar. And for the Patriots, you're moving back to protect your superstar quarterback in Drake May. I love this deal. We're going to have Carolina move back to get, or move up, I should say, to get Travis Hunter. At number 4 for the Jags, man, some really good players here on the board for them. I think we are going to go with Will Johnson out of Michigan. I've gone this route a few times. I went Mason Graham last week. Will Johnson is just an unbelievable talent that I think is going to be really hard for teams to pass up on him because, yes, he dealt with injuries this year, but when he was on the field, he was very productive for Michigan. He's got the ability to play zone. He's got the ability to play man. He's fast. He's quick. He could play in all sorts of different coverage schemes, and Jacksonville doesn't have a number 1 corner right now. I like Tyson Campbell. The Jags like Tyson Campbell. They gave him a nice contract this offseason, but he's got some concerns with that contract, in my opinion, and I definitely think he is going to need to stay healthy, and they're going to need to get a replacement in there. Will Johnson is a guy that could be a number 1 lockdown corner at the next level. I think he makes a lot of sense to Jacksonville. So the Patriots moved back 2 spots, and I think here you would feel a little bit better taking a tackle. I just don't think you could let Travis Hunter fall without getting any compensation. You were able to pick up a nice package. I don't know if it would be a second. It would probably end up being somewhere around a 4 and a 4, to be completely honest. Maybe you get the 2 4s from Carolina and maybe a 4 next year, something like that. I don't think it's going to end up being a second-round pick. We just had to get the deal to go through here. So ignore the package, just pay attention to the trade. And we are going to take Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Banks is not my number 1 tackle in the class. It's Will Campbell, but I think Banks has the upside to be the number 1 tackle in this class. He just has the better frame. If we're looking here at the frame of Kelvin Banks, he is, let me pull it up here. I'm having some difficulty here. Okay. He's standing at 6'4", 324 pounds. The arm length is very, very good, and he's just got the frame to be a starting tackle at the next level, and I think that's what this team's looking for. Will Campbell might be a guard. As much as I think those reports are overstated and probably not true, there are still concerns there. I still like Kelvin Banks a ton. He's a top 10 player in the class, and for the Patriots, I think he makes a ton of sense. At number 6 for the Tennessee Titans, number of ways you could go here. I think the offensive line has still struggled. Will Campbell feels a little bit like Peter Skoronski, so I don't know if you'd want to go that route. I really like what you've gotten from the interior of the defensive line, but the edge rushers haven't really produced to the level that you would like. This would be a quarterback spot, especially with the benching of Will Levis, but I just can't stomach taking Jalen Milroe in the top 6. Or even in the top 10. I'm unsure if he's even a first-round pick in this draft class. So for that reason, I'm going to pass on a quarterback, and I'm just going to take the best defensive player available, arguably, in Abdul Carter. The athleticism, speed, and ability to play in multiple alignments is going to be very valuable for this Tennessee defense. And I think he is a legit number 1 guy at the next level. He has come on so strong over the last few weeks for this Penn State defense. And I think he's going to continue to get better at the next level. He's so raw, so athletic. I think the upside is through the roof. He's my number 7 player in the draft class, kind of on par for where I take him. And I've got him going at number 6. At number 7, if you guys saw my power rankings, you would know kind of where I'm leaning with this pick. It's a pick I've not made yet, but I'm going to take Ashton Genty to the Cleveland Browns. This is a Browns team that when they were going to the playoffs and had a lot of their success, it came on the ground. Nick Chubb, unfortunately, is dealing with injuries, and Jerome Ford just has not been the player that you were hoping he would be. This is in a very similar range to where Bijan Robinson went just 2 years ago to Atlanta. And Bijan's been a stud for that Atlanta offense. I love Ashton Genty. I think the contact balance, speed, ability to catch balls out of the backfield, the blocking, there might not be a single flaw in his game other than the high usage rate. And even then, I think it's going to be okay. I would go Will Campbell here. That was the other pick I was considering, but I think you got to get some offense here. You're getting good play from the receivers. Cedric Tillman's come on of late. Jerry Jeudy's playing well. You've got to go out and you got to go get a stud running back, and I think Ashton Genty is exactly that. At number 8 for the Jets, we've made this pick more times than I can count at this point, but Mason Graham to the Jets just makes all the sense in the world. I think the interior of this defensive line has just been pretty weak. Javon Kinlaw has been a massive disappointment from where he was last season. And Mason Graham is an unbelievable player. He's my number 4 overall prospect in this draft class. If you want run stuffing, he's got that. If you want the ability to rush the passer, I think he's got that as well. He's a very good athlete. He's got an incredible frame. And you pair him alongside Quinnen Williams, you might have the best interior pass rush of any team in the NFL next year. I love Mason Graham as a prospect, and I think he makes so much sense for the Jets. We're taking him at 8. At number 9 for the Bears, we're taking Will Campbell. At number 10, I kind of just want to get straight through this because I don't really think it's up for debate right now. Braxton Jones goes down for them. You bring in Kieran Amagaji. That's been a disaster. And even if Will Campbell is not a tackle at the next level, like some people seem to be concerned about, you still are getting a guy that can play guard at a really high level. I've said this numerous times of why he is the number 1 tackle in this class. He has the best counter pass rush moves of any tackle in this draft class. He knows how to respond to speed. He's maybe not the most athletic tackle in this draft class, but he's a very, very good player that's going to thrive at the next level, whether that's at guard, whether that's at tackle. And for the Bears, you just need some help on the O-line. So we're going to take Will Campbell there at 9. At number 10 for the Saints, man, this would be the only spot that I would consider Milroe in the rest of this first round. If he doesn't go here, I don't think Milroe would go in the first, and I don't think he is ultimately going to end up going here. There's a couple of routes that I want to go. Number 1, I think Tetairoa McMillan is a pick that makes a lot of sense. Made this pick a bunch of times. He is my number 12 player in the class. I'm a little bit lower on this receiving class as a whole, but I think he's a very, very good prospect. James Pierce Jr. is the other one I'm thinking of. I've made this pick a few times, but I think the athleticism and the ability to get some speed off the edge, which is something that I just haven't seen from them, makes a lot of sense. And that's where we're going to go. James Pierce, to me, my number 6 overall prospect in the class, might have a bit of a slender build, but the run defense has improved so much from where he was a year ago. I think he's a very technically sound rusher that's got incredible speed, incredible bend, and he's got some really nice activity in his hands. Big fan of what James Pierce can be at the next level. I've got him at 10. At number 11 for the Dolphins, man, another really interesting spot for them. I kind of want to go Malachi Starks here because I don't think they're going to have the money to bring back Javon Holland. And if that's the case, I think Malachi Starks is the one that makes sense. Obviously, D-line is another one I like. I've picked Walter Nolan here a few times, and I like it. I'm thinking Shamar Stewart here. And Shamar Stewart, full transparency, is my number 29 overall prospect in the class. I like Shamar Stewart. I think he's a first-round caliber player, but I think he's going to go in the top 15 to 20 because I think teams are going to just absolutely love his athletic traits. You could also go Ariante Ursary, get some stability at the tackle position, which I don't hate. I didn't love the Patrick Paul pick, so that's a move that I think could make some sense. They're in a kind of a really good spot right now. I could see this being a trade back. Tetairoa McMillan still on the board. But I think a team could come calling up for a receiver. The Chargers, I think, could make some sense. I think the Broncos, I don't know if the Broncos would move up this far or if the Dolphins would want to move back that much. But I think this is a move that could make some sense. I think Dallas as well, trying to jump Cincinnati and Indianapolis to try and come up and get Tetairoa McMillan could make some sense. Really, really good spot to be in if you are the Dolphins. And I think we are going to do a trade up here. And it is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think it's going to be this massive package. I'm going to see if I can talk myself. Let's actually do the Chargers. We're going to have the Chargers move up to number 11. They're going to pay a premium here. They will give up their third-round pick this year, as well as a fourth-rounder next year. That's kind of what I think the package would end up looking like, maybe a fourth and a fifth. But I got the Chargers moving up to number 11 to take Tetrell McMillan. You need a number one go-to weapon in this offense. You just do. And they don't have that player. Quentin Johnston hasn't been that guy for them. Ladd McConkey is really good. I don't know if he's a number one type of player. Tetrell McMillan is. He has so many traits and tools to fall in love with. The contested catch ability, the size, the ability to make plays after the catch. Very, very impressive do-it-all athlete that I think is going to be a game changer at the next level. We're going to take him at 11. And then at 12, I think this is another spot where you could see a trade down because I think the edge rush and interior D-line talent this year. Nick Scorton here. You look at the teams that are looking for an edge. Cincinnati, San Francisco, Atlanta, Arizona. I think that Tampa Bay could come up 8 spots to make that move. I think the Rams. I also think the Commanders are in a really interesting spot to come up and take one of these edge rushers. Michael Williams is also on the board. This is a great edge class. I don't know if there will be a trade up here. We're just kind of talking through all possibilities. You still got Malachi Starks. You still got Jalen Walker here as well. Some good value. For me, I'm going to stick with where I think the Colts will go, and I'm just going to take Tyler Warren at 12. No reason to trade back in this spot. Just get the player you want. Don't risk him not being there, unfortunately. For the Colts, I think you've got a lot to fix on this team. I think the offensive line, yes, they've dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's been really up and down all season long. Tyler Warren is a type of player that I think can help some of those offensive line issues because he's a good blocker, but I also think Anthony Richardson needs a weapon in the short to intermediate game. He doesn't have that guy. The Colts tight end room, I would argue, is the worst of any team in the NFL right now. I think Tyler Warren is a pick that makes so much sense, and I know every Colts fan on the planet would love to have him. I'm a little bit lower on the tight end class. I've got Tyler Warren at number 38. I've got Colston Loveland at number 40. But I think they're both first-round type of players. So we'll take them at 12. And number 13 for the Bengals, I'm going to take Malachi Starks. I think Malachi Starks is one of the best defensive backs in this class. Cincinnati's safety room has not been good this year. You've got to go get an upgrade. I think Malachi Starks makes sense, and we're just gonna take him here. At number 14 for the Cowboys, receiver with Luther Burden, I love, and I think that's going to be the pick, and I don't want to overthink it. I think they've got to – I like what we've seen from some of the guys in this receiving room. I think Jalen Tolbert's played well, but I also think that you've gotten some really good play from Kevontae Turpin. I think Luther Burden is a little bit better than both of those guys. Luther Burden, my number 14 overall player in the class, so right on par for where I've got him here. He does everything for you at the next level. You can catch passes and the screen game. He's got a big frame at like 208 pounds, so he's a little bit bulkier. His contested catch rate is a little bit better than you would expect from an undersized receiver. He does some really interesting things that I think are going to translate well to the next level. I'm going to take him at number 14 and kind of develop him as that number 2 next to CeeDee Lamb. At number 15 for the Niners, a lot of ways you could go. I think you need another pass rusher on this team. I've been talking about it for weeks. You've got to go get another piece next to Nick Bosa. And the guy that I really like for this here is actually going to be Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Jalen Walker, really interesting player. He is listed as a linebacker, which I actually think benefits San Francisco because you do have concerns on if Dre Greenlaw is going to come back to this team or not. If he doesn't come back, I think Jalen Walker makes a lot of sense. The coverage aspect of things, not quite there, but his ability as a blitzer coming downhill, the run stuffing ability, I think he shows some really high-end athleticism and traits that I think people are really going to like. And for the Niners, you need some speed in this pass rush. I think Jalen Walker provides that. And number 16 for the Falcons, really like what we have gotten from the defense, particularly Caden Ellis. I think he's really come on as of late. We're going to go a different route here. I'm going to go with Savon Ravel out of East Carolina, a pick that I haven't made all year long. I think number 2 corner is a very possible outlook for this team. You watched the game last night, and outside of Clark Phillips, it didn't feel like any corner, or outside of AJ Terrell, excuse me, it didn't feel like any corner was able to really do anything against them. This is a player that I love. And I mean, I've talked about this on numerous occasions. He's my number 8 overall player in the class, despite an ACL injury. He's an unbelievable talent and a guy that I think is going to be a very good corner in the NFL. He's got size. He's got positional flexibility. He's got it all. We're going to take him at number 16. At number 17, we've got the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to go with an edge rusher. We went interior defensive line last week. I kind of want to go with an edge rusher. I'm going to bet on the upside of Mykel Williams, particularly because I like what he's able to do against the run. That was kind of my big takeaway last week. I wanted to go get a legit run stuffer up in the middle. They don't have that. But I think Mykel Williams, while I do question what his upside is as an edge rusher and pass rusher, he's got so many question marks for me as a prospect. What I don't question is his run defensibility. I think he's a legit, very good run defender at the next level. And I think he's worth a gamble here at number 17. The upside could be tremendous for you. And I think he makes a lot of sense to Arizona and what they need. So we're going to take him at 17. At 18, I think we're going to do it. I know that there's a lot of questions around the O-line, and we've gone that route. The defense I actually think is very good. I'm taking Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. Now, the reason I'm taking Milroe, Geno Smith has an out in his contract this year. If Seattle decides to cut him, they save a little bit of money. I don't think Seattle should cut him, but even if you don't cut him, you have 1 year left of Geno Smith. Why is that significant? I think Jalen Milroe is a type of quarterback that's going to sit and develop for a year, and when you give him the starting reins, has the chance to be a really, really good quarterback at the next level. Yes, there are concerns with his overall game right now. I get it. This is a guy that has got the traits, and he's probably going to get taken in the first round as a result. I'm taking a chance here. We're taking Milroe at number 18. At number 19 for the Dolphins, they're back on the clock after trading back. Love the value here because you're going to move back, and I'm going to take Walter Nolan here. Nolan is a prospect that I'm higher on than the consensus seems to be. I've got him as a borderline top 20 player. In fact, I got him at number 23. He's a very good run defender. He's an elite athlete, and I think he's got some room to develop to be a very good pass rusher at the next level. The traits are there. The size is there. He was a little undersized coming into the year, but he bulked up. He's at the 305 now. There's some stuff to really, really love about what Walter Nolan can be. And I think if I am Miami, that's the type of prospect I want to take a chance on. At number 20 for the Bucs, I'm going to take Colston Loveland out of Michigan. I think Cade Otton is he's a fine tight end, but I don't really think he's a guy that I would trust to be my number 1 go-to tight end for the rest of his career. That's just not what I really envision him as. He's more of a number 2 tight end. Colston Loveland, with his ability to catch balls out of the backfield, be a receiving threat, I think can be a number 1 tight end at the next level. He could be a big slot for you in certain packages. I think there's a lot to really like about him. And I think Tampa, their offense is clicking. I think adding another playmaker could be big for them. At number 21, we've got the LA Rams. Corner seems to be a position a lot of people like. Jahdae Barron's the only guy I would consider here, and there's a good case to be made for that. Another position I like and where I probably will go is Ariante Ursery out of Minnesota. Usually doesn't end up falling this far down my board. I am a huge Ariante Ursery fan. He's a good run blocker. He's a good pass protector, and he's got some really, really good athleticism. He's quick. He reminds me a lot of Talise Fuaga from last year and kind of the way I felt about him. I'm a big fan of what Ursery could turn into at the next level. And I think for the Rams, Alaric Jackson's been fine at left tackle, but I think Ursery could be a game changer and a legit number 1 franchise tackle for you. So we're going to take him at 21. At 22, this is where we're going to take Jahdae Barron. I think that getting a number 2 corner opposite of Marshawn Lattimore is smart, but I think Jahdae Barron might end up being the number 1 on this team when it's all said and done. I really, really like Jahdae Barron. I like his game. I like everything that he does on the defensive side of the ball. You want him to play safety, nickel, boundary. He can really do it all for you at the cornerback position. And this is the type of guy that Dan Quinn is going to fall in love with. I'm a huge fan of Jahdae Barron, and I think he's a first-round pick. I'm taking him at number 22. At number 23, we got the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with the running back here. Yeah, we're going to have 2 running backs go in the first round. I don't want to give Broncos fans any PTSD, but I am going to take Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. The inability to run the football has been a detriment to this Broncos offense this year. Sean Payton, he's a coach that loves to get the run game involved, and that has shockingly been the worst part about this Broncos offense. They just don't have a playmaker in the run game. Omarion Hampton, he might not be the quickest, shiftiest back, but he's very hard to tackle. He's got elite contact balance, and he's a guy that is probably going to get some legitimate first-round buzz. Another guy that I don't love, he's not my favorite running back. He's not even my number 2 running back. That would be Quinshon Judkins. But it seems like the consensus is starting to really come around to Omarion Hampton in the first round. And I think it makes a little bit of sense to them. So we're going to take him at number 23. At number 24 for the Ravens, tackle, I like the value here. Get a guy like Wyatt Milam who could play guard for you, could play tackle for you. I think that's a pick that I would really like to see them make. Corner, it would probably be Trey Amos. I'm just a little bit concerned that Benjamin Morrison's going to end up going back to school. And then the other position I would look at if I'm them is edge rusher. And if Nick Scorton's still on the board, I'm taking a chance on him. I think the value here is really strong. You're getting a player that can play in numerous different spots. He could play a 3-4 defensive end, 4-3 edge. He could play a 3-4 outside linebacker at times. He's good when he's asked to drop into coverage. He's one of the youngest players in this draft class. He's 6'4", 280. He's got some legitimate juice, and he's going to bring some youth, some high upside to this pass rush that has been okay, but I don't really feel like they've got a true number 1 guy right now. I think Scorton could develop into that and be a really good player for this team down the road. At number 25 for the Texans, this is going to be a spot where I'm going to take Kenneth Grant. I know this is not typically the D'Amico Ryans type of defensive lineman. They don't typically go for these bigger interior defensive linemen. He's, I believe, like 330 pounds, something around that range. But I think Kenneth Grant's a little bit different. He brings a little bit more as a pass rusher. I also think he's a very good run defender as well. Super solid player. Love what he could be at the next level. I'm taking him at 25. At number 26 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to go with Trey Amos. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me and say, oh, the Steelers don't take first-round corners. I don't really care. They need a corner, and Trey Amos is a guy that I absolutely love in this range. I think he's got some high upside to being number 1 corner in the NFL. The ball skills, the ability to just close on the football, the hip fluidity, he's got it all, and he's a perfect complement to what you have in Joey Porter Jr. Big fan of Trey Amos, taking him at 26. At number 27 for the Packers, again, thinking about going edge. I like Mike Green a lot in this range, but I'm probably going to go D-line. Take Shamar Stewart. I've made this pick a few weeks now, but he's a guy that I think is going to be a bit of a project coming out, which Green Bay loves to take these flyers on some of these guys, but I think he's got the upside to develop into a number 1 guy at the next level. The athletic traits you can't teach. He could play edge, could play on the interior, but he's probably going to be an edge at the next level. There's a lot to love about his game, as his athleticism, and I've got him going to number 27. At number 28 to the Vikings, we're going to stick on the interior. We're going to go with Derek Harmon. Really the only issue that I have with this team right now has been the interior of their defense. And I think Derek Harmon, what he does as a pass rusher, what he does as a run defender, really impressive stuff, and a guy that I think definitely has earned some first-round consideration. At number 29, love the way that this board has fallen. I think this is one of my favorite mocks of the year so far. If I'm Buffalo, I think that a DB could be in the cards here. I like Nicky Manwari. He's a player that I would heavily consider here because he's got athletic tools, could probably play linebacker for you, could play safety for you. I don't think edge is as big of a need for this team as some people are going to think it is. I think interior defensive line is the other route I would consider for them, and I would consider TJ Sanders in this range. I think it's a little bit too early for TJ Sanders. I've got him around the same spot. I've got Derek Harmon. But he reminds me too much of Ed Oliver. Corner, I'm going to take Benjamin Morrison hesitantly. I think he's probably going to go back to school. He's coming off a hip injury as a corner. That scares me a little bit, but the traits are there. He's a guy that has produced very well for this Notre Dame team over the last few years, and I don't see any reason to not take him here other than the injury, because if he's on the field, he's probably a top 15 pick. So we're going to take him at number 29. At number 30, I know Eagles fans are going to love this. We're taking Mike Green, a guy that I think they thought they were getting, and Bryce Huff. I think Mike Green's a little bit of a better player than he is. He's got an array of pass rush moves, really quick, really athletic, can defend the run exceptionally well. Big fan of him. At 31, we're taking Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss. The bend, the power, the ways that he can win as a rusher, I think are really impressive. I'm a huge fan of Umanmielen. Think he's going to be a first-round pick, and he fills a massive hole for the Lions. And then at number 32, this is where we're going to see Wyatt Milam come off the board. Kansas City gets a left tackle that can swing to right guard if Trey Smith does decide to go. He gives you versatility to play all over the line. And that's how the mock ended up going in today's video. I love the way that this turned out. I think it's one of my favorite mock drafts of the entire year. Yes, we did trades, but we only did 2 trades in this video. We had the Chargers moving up to get Tetron McMillan, and we had the Panthers moving up for Travis Hunter. I think this one turned out exceptionally well. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.